Henry Jolly, is laser focused on getting his 10-year-old twin boys to the NBA. They work out about 40 hours a week.
Yes.
Sounds like a job. Did you guys ever wake up and not want to practice? There's no greater burden on a child than a parent living vicariously through them.
Absolutely, and it happens often.
Have you thought about what they might do after the NBA? 80% of the players within 3 years of being out of the league are in financial distress. Well, it's one of the best parts about being a child, getting outside and getting active. More than half of America's youth participate in organized sports. Little League soccer, tennis, volleyball, basketball, football, the list just goes on. And the dreams are big. Many of those kids hope to become the next star athlete, but the percentage of those who go pro is low. Only 1% will make it. Now, many young athletes also hope for a college scholarship and the opportunity to build their talent at a university while getting an education. However, new rules in college sports are making that move a big business decision. Now, high school and college athletes are now allowed to profit off their name, image, and likeness. It's known as N.I.L. Now, my first guest, Henry Jolly, is laser focused on getting his 10-year-old twin boys to the NBA. He's been preparing them to play since they were 2. Now, they have a strict regimen of weights and drills to improve their skills so that you all at home will know their name. Meet the Jolly Boys.
Hi, Dr. Phil.
We are a basketball family to the core. We revolve everything around that. I love seeing my sons on the court.
Are y'all going to the NBA together?
Yeah. I was swimming and get candy.
You want swimming and get candy?
Yeah.
All right. What about the NBA?
Yeah. I was just swimming and candy too.
Okay, swimming and candy too. Don't go fast. Dribble lower, hand.
Obviously, the ultimate goal is to play in the NBA. This is something that the boys want to do. This is their goal. This is their dream.
What's your favorite car?
My favorite car is a Lamborghini and a Bentley.
Are y'all gonna get a Lamborghini and a Bentley when y'all grow up?
Yeah!
Going hard, going fast, being aggressive?
The intensity of training I just wish that I had parents that took good care of me like we do them.
All right, go left hand. Left hand, there it is. We don't do that calling fouls. That's why y'all tough like y'all.
We decided to homeschool the twins.
We had a lot more time to train and work out. The workouts and the training is not stressful or vigorous.
Make sure you write your pivot now. Make sure you write your pivot.
We really dedicate our lives to our kids.
Our goal is to make it to the NBA.
We had to guide them and lead them in the right direction, just like any good parent would.
All right. Those boys are already pretty good.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
In fact, they're real good, right?
I would say great. For right now, for their age. Yes.
Yeah, for their age?
Yes.
They work hard?
Yes.
They're homeschooled, right?
Correct.
Okay, and they get up at 6 a.m. and practice for 2 hours?
Roughly about 2 hours, yep.
Yeah.
Maybe a little less because the 6 a.m. workout, it consists of them making 500 shots in the morning. So we have a shooting machine that helps us get the rebound and to pass the ball back. So it's really efficient.
Okay.
So if they're on, then, they'll finish a little earlier.
What kind of percentage are they shooting?
I would say about 70%.
Yeah.
And this is with no defense. So, 70% with no defenders at 10 years old is pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's a different variation of shots. It's not just stand in one spot, catch and shoot.
Yeah.
We do different things.
Yeah, and so they do cardio, stretching, shooting, ball handling, strength, all sorts of things.
Yes.
Yeah. And so they'll work out for shooting drills for a couple hours, then they have breakfast, and then they do schoolwork.
Yes.
Yeah, and then they have lunch, and then they're back on the court.
Yes.
So they work out about 40 hours a week?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like a job.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
more than a lot of people work.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. But, less than 1% make it to the NBA.
Yeah.
And so my thing is, we think different than less than 1% of the population. So we like our chances.
We do or you do?
My family does.
Yeah.
Yes.
So is this your dream or their dream?
This is their dream. I introduced the sport to them at a very young age, obviously. They didn't know what basketball was, when they're born. But, we found some different things that were fun for them, and basketball was one of them. And then I noticed they just kept wanting to play, kept wanting to practice, kept wanting to pursue this activity. And so around age 5, I noticed that they really took a strong liking to it. You could see the talent was there. And then when they started talking to me, Dad, I want to be on TV. I want to play basketball like him. Okay, well, that's what you want to do. Let's get it done. If they said they want to be horseback riders, okay, that's what you want to do? We got to get some horses.
Well, now let's be honest here.
Yeah.
I mean, just dad to dad here.
Yeah.
You push basketball pretty hard.
I wouldn't say push. I say I guided them to where they are today.
Well, you pushed it harder than equestrian. No, I mean, really, you were a basketball player.
Right.
Were you pretty good?
I was very good.
Yeah. So this was in your blood. This was something you knew. And as a father, you teach them what you know, right?
Right.
I'm not criticizing that.
Exactly.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I mean, the degree to which you do, people might have an issue with. I'm not sure I do or I don't. Don't have the facts yet. But you push what you know. You know basketball. And so that's something you know, so you pass it on to your boys. I can't add 2 and 2 and get 5 every time. I didn't push my boys to be mathematicians. I kind of tried to meet them where they were and introduce them to a lot of different things to see what they had a passion for.
Okay.
One of my boys was big on hunting, and I'm not big on hunting, but I took him hunting, and I probably took him 50 times. I never pulled the trigger, but he never noticed.
Right.
He didn't care what I was doing. He was out there hunting, and I took him fishing. I did a lot of different things that my dad never did when we were growing up, so I thought I'd expose him to a lot of things, but you kind of focused on basketball.
Correct.
Well, we'll talk about this. Coming up, why Henry says he doesn't believe in having a plan B. We'll talk about that next. Have you checked your home title recently? Many homeowners never have, leaving themselves vulnerable. Scammers can steal your home title, forge your signature, and target your equity. Protect yourself from fraud before it's too late. Secure your title and your financial future today. You won't even know it's happened until it's too late. Ensure you're not a victim. Use promo code PHIL at HometitleLock.com to make sure your title is still in your name. You'll also get a free title history report, plus a free 14-day trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any change, and if fraud should happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. Go to HometitleLock.com now. Use promo code PHIL. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code PHIL. Despite some post-election optimism, Wall Street is already bracing for a rough rest of 2025. When Warren Buffett starts dumping blue-chip stocks and stacking up cash, you've got to ask yourself, what does he see coming? I trust Preserve Gold to safeguard my accounts, and I urge you to do the same. They're the only precious metals company I recommend. When uncertainty is this high, smart people look for stability. That's why physical gold and silver might just be what your finances need. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 to get your free precious metals guide from Preserve Gold. With gold prices recently breaking records and analysts predicting this trend to continue through 2025, you cannot afford to wait. As a bonus, you can get up to $15,000 with a qualified purchase from Preserve Gold. So don't wait. Text Dr. Phil, that's DRPHIL, to 50505 today.
Oh, all right, that's a foul. Hold up. Shoot it on him, Aston. Shoot it. Oh, Aston got 2. High five. Block it, Aston. Block it. Henry won again. It's over. We are the champions. Let me ask you this. Are y'all going to the NBA together?
Yeah. NBA.
NBA.
Well, that was a look at 10-year-old twins known as the Jolly Boys. Now, their father, Henry, says they were born to go pro, that there is no plan B for their futures. Now, Nate is a former footballer turned athletic trainer who says parents shouldn't pressure their kids at such a young age. Take a look.
The point of athletic development is to be the most complete athlete and the most complete player once you've reached full maturity, and that takes patience. We have truly gotten away from what youth sports should be about. It should be about life experiences that can help these young men and young women grow up to be successful adults. Youth sports has been monetized and it's a big business now. Then there's a faction of adults that have intentions that are not just about building strong children, it's they're trying to build these elite athletes. Sports parents, your youth athletes' athletic development is a marathon, not a sprint. I see so many parents putting unnecessary amounts of pressure on their athlete, on themselves as a parent, and also their household, trying to make their kid the best player. There's professional leagues all over the world, but the amount of people that can actually raise their hand and say, I've been paid by an organization to play a sport is so few and far between. You almost have a better chance of winning the lottery.
Well, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you say that there's no greater burden on a child than a parent living vicariously through them and trying to fulfill some unfulfilled dream of the parent.
Absolutely. It is a huge burden, and it happens often, not just with athletics, but in a variety of different areas in life. Oftentimes as parents, we have a vision for our children, and we have a vision for what we see as an end game, and we make sure that we put them in position to fulfill whatever is that vision we have for our children, instead of sometimes letting it organically happen by seeing what the passions that they have in fanning that flame.
Yeah. You say that there are like mock drafts for these athletes, like sometimes 5 years before they ever get in a position to be drafted. So they're planning for these kids way in advance.
Absolutely. It's a big business. A lot of these publications will rank players 5 to 6 years in advance. These publications sometimes are paid publications that you can have agents to get you in these publications and to write about your kids. You can secure media for your kids to be able to publicize them, to be able to get as much exposure for them as possible. Their brand will grow from that and their status will grow from that.
Yeah, and so now we have this N.I.L. where you can make money from your name, image, and likeness. And your boys are the youngest,
Correct.
to ever have
N.I.L. deals, correct.
N.I.L., right?
Correct.
And so they have sponsorships and things like that?
Correct.
Is it significant?
It's good, very good.
And what do you do with the money?
It's in their bank accounts.
Yeah.
My wife and I, we have our own lives, we're fine. Nothing to do with me. This is all their money, and it goes in their accounts.
Yeah. You've been watching about the Jolly Boys and that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
I see these kids doing push-ups and shooting 500 shots a day, and you say you don't have a plan B because you think that's taking your eye off the ball, so to speak?
I wouldn't say think. We just don't have a plan B. I have a philosophy if you shoot for the stars and you land on the cloud, you're still good.
Yeah, so have you thought about what they might do after the NBA?
No, not me. That's their lives, so I haven't thought about that. That's their job to think about what they want to do.
Well, but as a parent, it's your job to prepare them for life, and the average length of career in the NBA is like 5 years.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years, correct.
4.8, actually, if we're going to be specific. And you're not thinking they're average, but whatever it is, they're going to have more of their life after the NBA than they will have before or during the NBA.
Correct.
So with life expectancy being what it is, they're going to have 50 years after the NBA. Are you thinking about that with them?
No, I'll just let them make a decision. Once they get closer to that time. I mean, they've talked about, I want a coach like you, Dad. I want to be a coach. Things like that. I want to be a trainer. Yeah. So it could change though.
Are these players prepared for after?
It's always a case-by-case basis.
No, it's not. Yes. I wish it was, but it's not. But you know as well as I do that 80% of the players within 3 years of being out of the league are in financial distress.
Right.
They're either bankrupt or in serious financial distress.
Right.
So it's not case by case.
Right. And you're correct. There are a lot of athletes that end up being in financial distress, no doubt about that, because they're not prepared for life after sports. And I say that often, that you're going to be a former athlete a lot longer than you're going to be an athlete. And you have to have passions outside of it and make sure you're financially literate. And you have to have things that sustain you, because even if you do have a pro career which defies all the odds, you're gonna be a young man or a young woman when you finish. You're gonna be 27, 28, and you have a whole life after.
Do you worry about pushing these boys too hard too soon?
No, because I'm not pushing them, just guiding them. That's simple. It's not a push. It's not a push at all.
So you think if it wasn't for you, they would go out and make 500 shots at 6 a.m. on their own?
Absolutely. Listen. If you was in my house, you would really see the love and passion they have for this. It's not just, they're not shooting 500 shots just because they enjoy shooting 500 shots. They want to be the best. They know what they're up against.
What do you do when they don't want to do it on a given day?
I've never seen a day that they didn't want to do it.
Really?
Yes. It's like this. They're best friends. And one advantage I do have, the fact that I have two boys that are the same age. Now, I would say, from the outside looking in, if it was one of them, that doesn't sound too fun. You have one kid that's out there shooting 500 shots. But they're so competitive, and it's a fun thing for them. So anytime they're playing basketball, competing against each other, they'll be shooting shots that I'll make 10 in a row. I bet you can't. So it's always a competitive thing, and it's fun.
So you don't ever have days where they just don't feel like it?
Never. I've never seen it.
Really?
Hand on the Bible. You've never seen it.
Yeah. Oh. I played athletics all my life, and there were some days that, I just didn't want to do it.
Right.
I mean, I did it if a coach made me, but I just didn't want to do it.
But watch this. Not to be funny, but did you want to play in the pros?
Oh, hell no.
Well, see, there you go. There you go.
All right, coming up, they have close to 5 million followers on TikTok and top rankings in women's basketball. Another set of twins who are capitalizing on their name, image, and likeness next. I'm going to ask them if they grew up and never had a day they didn't want to do it. See if they shed any light on this. Let's discuss preparedness, because we know emergencies happen when we least expect them, but instead of just taking it, we can prepare. Let's discuss Jace Case, one of your most important preparation tools. With Jace Case, you'll have emergency prescription medications on hand right when you need them. Think about it. Ever been caught off guard? Whether it's a sudden illness or a travel hiccup, the right medications can make all the difference. Jace Case is designed to take that worry off your plate, so when a minor health issue pops up, it doesn't turn into a major problem. Don't let unforeseen circumstances derail your plans or your peace of mind. Live with confidence. Take charge with Jace today. Visit jace.com and use code PHIL for a discount on your order, and get emergency antibiotics on hand for the moment you need them. That's JASE.com, code PHIL, PHIL. Henry is set on his boys earning scholarship deals, using their name, image, and likeness, making deals that can be really very lucrative. Now, the Cavinder Twins, Haley and Hannah, who have partnered with big brands as college students, do make serious money. They have 5 million followers. They've really gotten skilled on social media and on the court, as Chris Harrison, my good friend and Merritt Street Media's newest personality, found out. Now, before Chris was a TV star, host of The Bachelor, he was also a star athlete. The leading scorer for his high school soccer team got him a college scholarship, and he met up with the Cavinder Twins to shoot some hoops. So let's see if he had any moves.
Hannah and I started playing basketball at age 6. Growing up, my parents both put us in a whole bunch of different sports. I think basketball kind of stuck with us just because my dad played basketball, and I think just like the competitiveness, something within the sport that we got to play together, like offensive, defensively, just drew us to it a little bit more. So that's why we stuck with basketball at a very young age.
It's game day, first game of the tournament.
I'm Haley. And I'm Hannah.
I want to talk to y'all because y'all have been so successful with this NIL stuff. And it is such a hot button topic.
We were two of the first people to sign like a long-term deal with Boost Mobile. So it was like, we never knew what to expect. Being a female, especially within college, you don't always have the access to be able to go pro and to get all the benefits within that. So being able to set yourself up for success and for the future is what we did. The more pressure and the more noise and the more people that want you to fail, want you to tune in, want you to be successful, the more viewership. I think that's driving numbers up and driving the game up, which helps all women succeed. Us playing basketball and us being twins, that's not seen a lot, especially on the same team for college and Division I. So I think that made me stick out in the social media space, and it has allowed us to accomplish everything.
Well, welcome, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, Haley, you say that female athletes are in prime time right now with NIL, right?
Right, correct.
It's really caught hold. Why do you think that is?
I think female athletes are very marketable, especially with college basketball for us. And other athletes, I think, have been super successful with it. I think brands like to market females, and it's just been super successful for females.
Yeah. Chris, you got out with them, and they know what they're doing.
They do, yeah. I was not about to take them on the court. And, you know, to kind of jump on that point, what she's saying is something I found over the 20 years of hosting the show. Women on our show, social media-wise, are bigger influencers. The brands like them. They're making a lot more money. They are a lot more marketable than the males are that come off our show, or the athletes as well.
Hannah, people want to make you kind of one-dimensional. What do you mean?
I would just say that sometimes you can be put in a box a little bit easier. But I think female athletes being able to be marketable in the space within social media and then kind of showing, you know, like you can play basketball or play whatever sport you want to play and excel in it has been really cool to see, so.
Yeah. Did you guys ever wake up and not want to practice?
I think you have those days as being an athlete. Sometimes you want to, but no. College athletics, something with your twin you share with, it was always fun, great experience.
Yeah.
I think just being able to share that bond, and I know that you asked her if we woke up one day and weren't wanting to play, but I think the accountability, being able to count on each other, that was like very big on motivation-wise and discipline-wise. But yeah, it was something that we always wanted to do, and it was always fun. Like we never wanted to force anything, so.
Yeah, because I was asking Henry if his boys ever woke up and didn't want to go out and practice at 6 a.m. in the morning and shoot 500 shots.
Yeah.
And he said, no, never happened.
Yeah.
I didn't believe him.
And I think it's interesting, you know, in talking to Haley and Hannah, you guys didn't grow up that way. You didn't grow up in the NIL world. You didn't grow up with a dad saying, hey, y'all are going to make it in the WNBA or even play D1 ball. It's just something you found. It was a completely different way of growing up, right?
Right, yeah. For us, NIL didn't pass until 2 years ago. So growing up, it was just the passion and the love for the game we found with each other and the bond we had that, you know, made us want to keep going and want to be successful and chase our dreams.
Who got you started?
My mom and dad, both of them. They put us in all sports growing up. And I think with basketball, it just was like my dad put a hoop outside, and then I remember watching NBA finals games and going outside and being able to play versus her, and that's kind of when we were like, okay, we want to get serious with it.
Which one of you is the better?
Hannah's really, I think I truly still believe I can beat her one-on-one. I haven't played basketball in about like 9 months, so it'd be a little bit shaky. But when I did play back in the day, I think I got her.
Yeah.
I love the confidence. I would say, I think it depends on the day. But that's what made us so good. I mean, that was our type of fun. Like, let's go play one-on-one. Who has to put away the dishes today if you lose? So it was a great time growing up.
Yeah. If you had advice for kids growing up, would it be to try a lot of different sports?
Yes, I think trying a bunch of sports allows you to get more clarity on what sport you want to do. If that's your passion to go and be successful in college, I think that's what allowed us, in my opinion. I tried a lot of sports, and then I found why I loved basketball so much.
Yeah. I want to hear from you two about this NIL. You know, does NIL leave players susceptible to bad advice? We'll talk about that next and explain exactly what this means, what it is, because if you've got kids, they're going to be dealing with this if they're in athletics, even at young ages.
Y'all have been approached, brands, reality TV, the WWE wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Which one of you was approached by The Bachelor to be the Bachelorette?
Yes.
Something I knew a little something about.
Yeah.
Like the WWE came after the two of you.
Mm-hmm.
Would that have happened had it not been for the exposure of the NIL and all of these endorsement deals?
No, it wouldn't have happened. I think that we wouldn't have had the exposure. Like you said, we would just have graduated and gone about it our ways. So luckily it did happen and things fell our way.
Well, that was the Cavinder Twins, and this is something that, because of social media, because of your talent, because of really having some skills at marketing, you've turned into a real business in addition to the sport itself, right?
Right.
And that's a lot of work too.
100%. I think when N.I.L. first passed, we didn't really know what to expect. But I think as time went on, we've been able to have so much creative control when working with brands and being able to see our ideas come together and truly grow our brand. So I've been absolutely loving that.
Yeah. And we're talking about more money than you could make doing almost any profession, right?
Yeah, for especially for women's basketball, I think going pro, the percentage and the revenue is way less. So we've been able to benefit extremely well from NIL. 100%. I think it's what you do with your money too. We were brought up by my dad. He'd always say it's not a 4-year plan, it's a 40-year plan. So just make sure you invest your money. We're really big on setting ourselves up for success in the future. And I think you can do that within NIL, especially being a female athlete.
Yeah. Chris, what do you think about this NIL?
It's great and it's horrible. I think I've talked to coaches, I've talked to athletic directors, players, and everybody will say the same thing. Right now, it's the wild, wild west. And that is everybody's drinking from a fire hydrant, and somebody, whether it's the NCAA, whether it's Congress, somebody is going to have to harness this thing to where we're drinking out of a water fountain. Because right now, it's unsustainable. It can't last like this.
Yeah, but Nate, most of the athletes, there's like 450,000 college athletes, all of them are subject to NIL, being able to monetize their name, image, and likeness. Most of them we're talking about a few bucks here and there, right? We're not talking about tens of thousands, certainly not hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars for the vast majority of these athletes. True?
Absolutely. I train athletes on a daily basis. I train collegiate athletes. And the experience for the average athlete is not lucrative. They may have a brand deal here or there, but it kind of constitutes, hey, if you put our backpack on your social media, we'll give you a free backpack. Or if you post about our restaurant, we'll give you free food for a month. But they're not making what I call life-changing money. That's the average experience. Now, you'll have like the Sanders boys in Colorado or Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese down in LSU, but that's not the average experience. For them, yes, lucrative, but the average experience, no, not at all.
Yeah, you're looking at the 0.01% right here.
Right.
That they're truly making 7 figures, but they also, and this is the dangerous part in this slippery slope, is who's looking after this money, who has access to this money. Something I think Nate will probably agree with is someone needs to look after these kids and their finances. Whether it's they only get 50% of the NIL money and 50% is put into a 401k until they graduate with a degree or turn 25. So this money is protected until these kids come of age. So they have it down the road, as you guys were just talking about.
Yeah, and you guys are going at it with the right attitude, the right mentorship, like from your dad, and also it's a completely different situation with you guys than it is for a lot of athletes that don't have that kind of background or that kind of leadership. And that's why, as I said, 80% of professional athletes within 2-3 years of being out of the league are bankrupt or in serious financial trouble because they spend the money like it's going to last forever. Right. And it doesn't last forever. It lasts for maybe 2 years, 3 years, and they're spending like it's going to last forever. Shaq's a good friend of mine, and he told me the first time he got a big contract, it was for $20 million. And he said, I thought, okay, great. I got $5 million, I can buy my mom a house. I got $5 million, I can buy myself a house. Then I got $5 million I can go do this and that with, and that leaves me $5 million. Then my accountant called and said, no, you only had 10 million to start with because the other 10 million had to go to taxes. So now I'm 10 million in the hole. Right away, I found out I had a $10 million tax bill and I'd spent all the money. And he said, I was panicked. And he said, I got smart in a fast hurry. And yeah, he did. And I worry that kids even younger now are getting sometimes significant money and mishandling it. And you got a lot of hangers on and stuff like that.
Yeah, the pressure on them to support family, to support friends. And I think the biggest thing, and I'd be interested to hear what Nate has to say too, the biggest thing that has to change is transparency. There has to be transparency for everybody's sake, for the institutions, for these kids. They get promised the world. And then they get to school, that world doesn't exist anymore, and you're not getting what you thought. And vice versa, these kids can go try and leverage this against another institution. And so right now, again, it is the Wild West. Everybody's just kind of running amok right now. And it's not great for the athletes or the institutions.
All right, coming up, a young tennis player who became so lonely pursuing the sport, she almost took her own life. We'll meet her next.
I struggled with the pressures of not only picking sponsorships. I was sponsored by Nike for a little bit, got dropped by them. I was trying to pick a college, trying to decide if I even wanted to go to college, and I just felt super alienated.
One of you's playing now for TCU, the other one's not. What was that decision?
There was a time in my life that I was at the lowest point, and obviously social media doesn't help with that. And so I think for me, like personally stepping away, it was definitely about my mental health.
I definitely went through a year of mentally taxing. I just kind of was done with it. I think I grew other passions outside of basketball, and I was kind of ready to tie up the shoes. I don't like to use the word quit, so I'll say retire. I think for everyone, being in a spot where if you're struggling mentally and understanding like what will make you happy regardless of what you think you should do or what other people are telling you to do or how much money it'll make you, regardless, like do what's best for your own mental health. Hannah's gonna do what's good for her mental health, and I'm gonna do what's good for mine. And I hope that just gives courage to someone out there. Put your mental health first.
Tonight we've been talking about youth and college athletics. Now my next guest, Victoria, is a former tennis professional. Now, like many of my guests, she too played her sport as far back as she can even remember. But the pressure of it all proved to just be too much.
My name is Victoria Emma, and I'm 24 years old. I started playing tennis when I was about 3.5. We had just moved to Naples, Florida. I ultimately fell in love with tennis. I love the competitiveness. I started playing at the international level when I was around 15, 16 years old. I traveled all over the world. That for me became extremely overwhelming, kind of being alienated from my friends, not being able to go to regular school. My whole world kind of became tennis. I lost my identity. I struggled so much, and at the age of 15, I kind of started feeling very depressed. I tried to commit suicide for the first time when I was about 16. Then again, when I was about 17, I wrote suicide notes to my parents, my sister, my best friend, my coach, and my trainer. Personally, I felt like everybody kept telling me the world is your oyster, you're so talented, the sky's the limit for you, and I just felt like there was something wrong with me for feeling as depressed as I did, as lonely as I did, and sharing my story saved my life.
Well, thank you for being here, and thank you for being willing to talk about this.
Yeah, of course, thank you for having me.
Because it's really important. Mental health and student athletes and athletes in general, professional athletes, it doesn't get talked about enough. What weighed on you the most the first time you really contemplated taking your own life?
I think it was just the combination of homeschooling for the first time and the schedule with tennis. You really only get about 4 to 6 weeks off, and you're traveling probably 35, 40 weeks out of the year, and I just really struggled being alone all the time. I struggled with the pressures of not only picking sponsorships. I was sponsored by Nike for a little bit, got dropped by them. I was trying to pick a college, trying to decide if I even wanted to go to college. And I just felt super alienated. When I got pulled out of school, I lost a ton of friends because everybody, all they did was identify me as a tennis player. It's like I was no longer Victoria anymore. And they only knew how to talk to me about tennis. And when tennis wasn't doing well, they would still be like, oh, wow, you're doing so amazing. And nobody could talk to me about just me as a person. And I just felt super alone. And I got really, really depressed. And I felt like I had no way out. And I felt crazy for feeling that way, considering what I was doing and the opportunity I had. And for me, it was super difficult to cope. I thought I was the only one that felt that way.
I spend a lot of time in tennis and the tennis world, and I can tell you, you're not alone in feeling that way. Even the absolute top players, men and women, have told me exactly the same thing you're telling me right now. I mean, top-ranked players in the world say it gets really lonely out there.
Yeah.
You say you were burned out by 16. And I was talking to the Jolly Boys' dad down here, Henry, and he's got his boys working really hard, and they're passionate about it right now and obviously love it. But it is easy to get burnt out if you peak too early and work too hard too soon. Do you agree?
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to make allowances to that. Well, coming up, Victoria found happiness on the court again. We're going to talk about that when we come back. Victoria was a high-achieving tennis player at a very early age who almost took her own life, really just from the loneliness and pressure of the sport and all the sacrifices that you have to make. Now, your parents found some letters that you had written at one point, and so they reacted to that the way you would expect, right?
I was actually at practice, and my mom and my dad had both showed up to practice, and I thought it was weird because I'm like, why isn't my dad in the office? And normally during the week and stuff, my parents don't come to practice to watch me.
Something's not right
So I
here.
was like, this is weird. And then they let me finish practice. They brought me home, and they just kind of sat me down and got really emotional, which scared me. And then they told me that they found the letters, and they were obviously visibly upset. They just kind of explained to me how they felt. We're trying to understand like why I wrote the letters, and then they got me into therapy very quickly afterwards.
And these were suicide letters. These were goodbye letters.
Yeah.
And when you had written those letters, it was fully your intention to be gone.
Yeah, the beginning of all the letters were all the same. They all said, by the time you read this, I won't be here anymore. And then I kind of just addressed everyone more personally after. But they were all addressed the same.
Yeah. When they found them and you got some help, were you immediately relieved?
No. It took me a little bit to kind of understand why I felt the way that I felt. And it took me a really long time to kind of forgive myself for putting my family through that and feeling that way myself. And then I started kind of healing after that. But it wasn't immediate because I didn't feel like I was healed immediately. So it took me some time to really heal everything that I had felt over the years and kind of start feeling like I wanted to still be around.
Did you have resentment that you had to forgive?
It wasn't really resentment. I more so just felt like a burden.
The number one reason that people cite when they decide to take their own life is that they feel like a burden. That people would be better off if they weren't there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly how I felt. Talking about it has really saved my life, being able to help people. There were girls that I've played with growing up my whole life that I didn't even know felt that way, and they reached out to me, and that's made me feel like, I'm here for a reason, and I want to be able to help people because too many times people have already committed suicide, and then their stories get out there, and I get to still be here and talk about my story and still help people.
Yeah. Have you started to enjoy tennis again?
So I actually retired in October from injuries, but by the end of it, I had a lot of injuries when I turned pro, but I was really enjoying it. From the time I left college, I was really, really enjoying it. I had a new coach. He basically brought the love for tennis back. And I still love the game. I mean, it was an unfortunate situation for me just with multiple shoulder surgeries, and then I have a nerve issue now, so that's why I ended up retiring. But I still have so much love for the game, and a few years ago, I wouldn't have been able to say that. So.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I'm so glad to hear that.
Thank you.
I want to give a shout out to Jake Ferguson, Dallas Cowboys tight end, here tonight supporting his girlfriend, Haley. Jake, thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
Big fan, and know you're glad to have the support being here, and also it's great that you guys came. I'm so glad that we're talking about all of this, and Henry, I hope you hear everything we're talking about, because it's never a success-only journey. There's always ups and downs, and as a parent, we got to be dialed into those things, because I don't care who you are, every day's not always an up. Jake, I'm sure you've been through that a million times yourself.
Indeed.
Yeah. I want to thank all of my guests for being here tonight. A special thanks to our Merritt Street Media's newest personality, Chris Harrison. I'm so thrilled that you found a home with us here, Chris. We got a lot planned with Chris, which you'll all see very soon here at Merritt Street Media. We're creating a destination network, and we're going to embrace the present, the core values that I think we all believe in this country. I think all of you will see that as this network unfolds. So tell everyone you know to watch Merritt Street Media. We'll see you next time.